everybody, this is Gina Bear reporting to you for duty, and today I'm going to tell you guys the scariest Korean horror stories and the scariest urban legends that I've heard here in Korea. Take off. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Gina. I've been an expat in Asia for the last 7 years, and if you guys like life, love, and travel abroad, particularly in Korea and Japan, please make sure that you give my channel a subscribe, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Instagram because that's where all the good stuff goes down. Now, before we get into today's video, I want to tell you guys about an amazing service called Butler's Korea. Now, Butler's Korea is a premium concierge service for foreigners here in South Korea. So if you need help looking for a house, moving, making a reservation, doing translation work, changing your AC, fixing your HANGUL, getting legal advice, I cannot recommend them enough. Basically, they are a website and they help foreigners do so many services. I've been here for quite some time, and even still I need help doing certain things. So if you're not comfortable asking your coworkers or you need somebody to help you, I highly recommend using Butler's Korea. So this is not sponsored in any way, but I truly recommend this service, and my friends over at Butler asked me to do this, so I'm like, hey, I'm gonna help you guys out. So check out their website. I'll leave the link in the description box below, and let's get into this video. If y'all spooky gals and bros are ready for it, get yourself in, some comfy PJs, get yourself pumpkin spice latte, bring your fur baby into the mix because some of these tales are legit chilling. Yes, baby, I love you too. You guys are just gonna have to deal with Honey in my video because she just wants to hang out. Now, our first urban legend is called Mr. Cuckoo, and when I first heard this story, it legit gave me chills. Now, Mr. Cuckoo was a very mentally disturbed man. Unfortunately, here in Korea, as I said before, they don't look at mental illness as something that needs to be looked at, or they don't have very much empathy towards it. So he was thrown into a mental asylum, and while he was there, he was together with another female patient. Now, this female patient was also mentally disturbed, and as a result, she would beat Mr. Cuckoo repeatedly, and his torture at her hands was so severe that he not only despised her, but he also hated all women. Now, one day he managed to escape the mental asylum, and unfortunately the police were not able to track him. And soon after, he actually began attacking high school girls with an axe, and a lot of deaths resulted from this, and they never caught Mr. Cuckoo. The legend has it his vengeful ghost still waits for women in dark alleyways, and he does have an axe. His sort of signature killing cry is cuckoo, cuckoo, cuckoo. Now, if he does appear in front of you, you have only a couple of ways to be able to survive. Actually, one of the ways you can survive is to repeat his catchphrase back to him, and it will confuse him long enough that you can run for your life. Now, the second way is if he actually does get close to you and he asks you a question, do you know Mr. Cuckoo? Whatever he asks you, just say yes and run for your life. Now, this second story is called The Daegu Fortune Teller, and it legit gave me chills. This story was told to me by another expat here in South Korea who gave me permission to post about this story as long as I changed the names. So this guy, he was telling me that his wife and a friend of hers went to go see fortune teller number 3 in Daegu. Now, this fortune teller has a really strong reputation in that whatever the fortune teller tells you, it actually does come true. This guy's wife and her friend went up to this fortune teller, and the fortune teller just went completely white in her face, and when they asked her oh, what's wrong, the fortune teller said, oh, Jihyun, I will read your fortune, but I will not read your friend's fortune because your friend has no future. So they were there kind of late, and they were thinking oh, this fortune teller is so mean, they just want to go home. So they left without getting their fortunes read. And the very next day, Jihyun's friend died in a car accident. Now, the next story is called The Girl in the Bookshelf, and this one also gave me chills when it was told to me. This was actually told to me by my students. Apparently, there was a boy who was studying for some very important exams in the library, and he felt something kind of strange, and when he looked up, there was a girl in a bookshelf who had her head propped up on her arms like this, and she was just smiling, you know, like really creepily at him, like. So he's sitting there thinking like, oh, like this weird girl, like I don't even know what her problem is. So, you know, it starts getting later and later, and the library patrons start clearing out, and he sees the girl again, but he sees her in a different bookshelf and she's doing the same thing. So he's like, whatever. So finally, it's about closing time. There's like really nobody in the library, and he hears like this tapping noise. So he starts looking around like, where's this tapping noise coming from? And he sees the girl at the foot of the table where he's studying, and she's still, you know, got her hands like this, you know, looking at him. And as soon as he's about to tell her, like, what do you want? All of a sudden, she starts, like, rushing toward him on just her elbows, and he realizes she only has half a body. Oh gosh, just like telling that story like gives me chills. Like I don't know where my students come up with this stuff or like where they even find it, but like that one really creeped me out. Now this next story is the Eunuch at the Secret Garden, and this one actually does come from a good friend of mine. And she was telling me that when she first came here to Korea, you know, she was doing everything, you know, new expats do, and it's be a tourist in the country. I mean, I did it too. So she was with her friends at the Cheongdeokgung Palace, and if you guys don't know, this is one of the 5 grand palaces of Seoul, and it's actually the biggest palace because of the Secret Garden, which is, you know, a private getaway for the past kings. Now, she was walking towards the gate of eternal youth, and then when she walked through that gate, you know, she started to feel like some energy there. She's like, dude, I don't know what this is. So if you guys have been to the Secret Garden, I'll put up a photo right here, but there is a small gazebo, I'm probably saying that wrong, and there's a lotus pond, and when she was looking across the lotus pond, she saw a eunuch from the Joseon dynasty, and the way she knew he was a eunuch was because they dress very specifically. So they wear these very dark forest green robes, and they have like this special kind of hat, and they also have like a black belt over their chest. When she saw him, they like locked eyes, and this ghost seemed very aware of his surroundings, like knowing that time had passed. So they bowed to each other, and like she was sitting there looking at him, and he moved his mouth as if he wanted to speak to her because he realized she could see him, but then she couldn't hear him, and he just kind of waved her off, like go with your tour group. So apparently the Secret Garden, especially that area, is haunted. Alright, now the next scary story is actually called The Woman at Judo. Now this street is actually up near Goyang and Paju. So it's about like an hour north of Seoul. And this street actually has a really bad reputation anyway because it's really foggy, visibility is poor, there aren't a lot of street lights, and a lot of people have gotten into accidents there, unfortunately. But that's not the scariest part of this road. So apparently sometimes when people are driving late at night, they see a woman who's standing on the side of the road. Now the thing is they at first think this woman is wearing these big black sunglasses because they can't fully see her face because she's not looking directly at them. People just see her side profile. Now people report that when they get closer to this woman, she actually turns her head and looks directly at them, and what they're seeing is not actually sunglasses but 2 big black gaping holes in the middle of her head where her eyes should be. Now, the last story I'm going to tell you guys today is actually called The Fortune Teller and the Demons. Why do all these bad things revolve around fortune tellers? Like, for real. This one is about an old man who was a fortune teller, and he's blind. So what he cannot see with his actual physical eyes, he can see with his spiritual eye. And, you know, one day he was walking around and he heard a bunch of noblemen saying, oh, you know, the daughter's dead, it's such a shame. But the fortune teller could feel that there was a very dark presence hovering over the home and believed that he could still save the daughter. So he was let into the house and the daughter's body was brought into a room which he sealed off. He covered all the nooks and crannies and, you know, started chanting and doing incantations. And one of the workers who was there was like very skeptical of this fortune teller. So this fortune teller found that this young girl's body had actually been possessed by demons and he was extricating them from her body. While he was doing this, one of the servants actually like poked a hole in the paper door, and by doing so let all the demons that were possessing this young girl out of the room. Now this caused a giant problem because he knew that the demons would want to seek revenge upon him. So the nobleman, you know, was overjoyed. His daughter was alive and, you know, they wanted to repay this old man, but this old man was like, I don't have long left in this world. So word had spread that this old man had saved the nobleman's daughter, and it even reached the king's ears. Now the king, hearing this, requested an audience with the fortune teller, thinking that he was just a con artist who was taking money from the ignorant people on the streets. The king then made a test where he brought in a rat and placed it in front of the old fortune teller and asked him, what is in front of you? And the old fortune teller replied, a rat. To which the king was like, okay, you know, he good. But then the king asked, how many rats? And the old man said 3. Now this made the king very angry because he's like, clearly there's only 1 rat there. You're a liar, you're a con artist, and he sentenced him to death. Now later on, while the old man was awaiting his beheading, 2 of the courtiers were playing with the rat and they opened up the rat and found that the rat had been pregnant with 2 perfectly formed fetuses. The king was like, oh my gosh, I've made a terrible mistake. I need to save this old man. Now the prison was across the town, so the king gave the order to stop the beheading, but in order to do that, you had to swing the flag to the right and not the left. Now during this time it was very windy and it sounded like there were like so many voices outside, and every time the guards tried to move the flag to the right, it would move to the left. And because the people on the other side of town did not get the message, this old man was unfortunately beheaded. And when he was beheaded, the wind stopped, and throughout the kingdom were the voices of the demons laughing. Okay everybody, so I hope that you all enjoyed this video today. If you like this video and like to see more videos, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, hit that notification bell, and follow me on Instagram because y'all, that's where all the good stuff goes down. If you guys have your own spooky or scary story that you want to add to the collection, please leave it in the comments down below. I always get back to you guys because hey, it's spooky season and what do we all want to do? Of course, see a scary story. Again, don't forget to check out Butler's Korea, especially if you are an expat living here in South Korea or you're planning on coming over. They are a seriously helpful service, and we're going to leave it at that. Gina Bear, signing out.
Just tell me where you wanna go. Let me take you there. You see, I've been around the globe. I've seen a lot, but I wanna see what's above. I wanna see what's below.